politics being matters of the head, logic, thinking, the heart, empathy, we have lost those two. And what I can hear, the conversation here is about interests, right? Jared is keen to safeguard the interests of the broad-based government, and Honorable Nyutu is keen to safeguard the interests of his latest political alignment. You will recall that these two were diametrically different. The other day, he was wearing a sufuria, and the other one was very much a loyalist of William Ruto. But we need to demand a political hygiene. That these leaders must be keen to discuss the policy propositions, that move this country forward. The issues of just being emotional, the issues of just being fanatics, I expect that the following by Jared of William Ruto and the broad-based government must be principled, must be issue-based. The disconnect by Honorable Nyutu away from the government that he supported its election into office must also be principled and not just matters of emotions. Finally, politics and elections particularly, and democracy, is not a spectator sport. All right. So when I hear Honorable Jared excited about the tyranny of numbers in Homa Bay, I understand that possibly because he's a mono in the first term. Let me be respectful. A first-time legislator, he needs to go back and look at the numbers. That if the tyrant of numbers in Homa Bay matter, and you had Raila Odinga losing by 230-something thousand, and about 730,000 of those stronghold, a combination of, I think, the four Luo Nyanzas, which is a Raila stronghold, did not turn out to vote, then they have serious homework to do. And as a first-time member of parliament, he needs to begin to look at those things, because it's not about spectatorship. Being a spectator and just saying, Nyeri was responding to the rousing welcome of Raila Odinga in Homa Bay. Those are mere optics, but the real game must be a clear ground game. Yeah. And I would not be surprised, by the way, because principle is not a very key issue in our politics. Honorable Nyutu, in the next debate, and Jared may be agreeing, simply because Raila and Rigathi Gachagua have narrowed their interests. Divide, So as long as our politics, and there's nothing wrong about politics being a game of interest, but are there instances when leaders are expected to rise above those selfish interests and look at issues from an empathy point of view and look at issues logically, think through the issues? We have a finance bill that requires to be looked into. I want to understand how Honorable Nyutu's perspectives have changed, shifted from last year when they were all singing choruses for the finance bill, and the Honorable Jared Okello was on the other side opposing, and likely they are taking different sides. So these are the issues that I'm really, really interested in. IEBC is here. The vetting, the quality of vetting, the questions about the relations. And if we look at keenly, the issues of relations really, I hear that even Raila Odinga is not Luo. He has traced his ancestry to Luya land. So when we tie down to the issues of relations, but is the quality of vetting by the legislators like Honorable Kello really producing the quality that is there? On paper, all these people deserve and they qualify to do the job. But there are issues that have been raised. Has Parliament taken time to look into those issues so that we do not again have a trust deficit going into the elections? The selection panel already did us one thing that is a disservice. The shortlisting and then another shortlisting. One of those ones that was shortlisted, led among the six, is now found himself nominated.
We'll talk about this IBC
and all these issues. And those are the issues that I really want to see Jared and the Nyutu discuss, and not this emotional immaturity that we want to witness.
There's something that you've brought in. First of all, Jared Okello is not a first-time MP. I think is it third or second?
The second.
It's the second time. Sorry. And then secondly, you don't believe that President William Ruto looking towards Nyanza will safeguard his re-election based on the numbers in your own analysis?
I have just picked the example that if you look at the fine margins since 2013, we have not had even a difference other than the runoff. The repeat elections in 2017, there's been very fine margins. The +1 for Raila Odinga for William Ruto in 2022 was less than 70,000. The universal difference between Raila Odinga and William Ruto was less than 240,000. But look at the voter turnout in Raila Odinga's strongholds. About 730,000 voters did not turn out to vote for one reason or the other in Kisumu, Siaya, Homa Bay, and Migori combined. And that tells you that it's not just about the excitement, all right, to speak about the optics of a rousing welcome. People love occasions, and people are patriotic and they want to be participating. And if there's one thing that we have seen, that everywhere that these national celebrations have been taken to, Kenyans are receiving them well, because it was a reserve for Nairobi and it was a repeat audience. People are attending it for the first time. But in terms of a ground game, politics is a game of numbers. So Nyanza may not be helpful to William Ruto if the same voting patterns are what they are transferring. And then William Ruto may likely take a beating. Because and then you ask yourself, if those numbers were with Raila Odinga on the ballot, what if Raila Odinga is not on the ballot? Would the lethargy, apathy also increase? Does that help their candidate that they are so passionate about?
All right, Jared, I want us to get into the IBC conversation, but you had been mentioned by John Newton. You wanted a right of response, and then I'll give Duncan Ojwang the same, and then John Newton will start us off on the IBC. Yes?
Oh, well, not just mentioned, but adversely. Adversely mentioned. Well, it's been long since I met Mukwanja, my friend, and that's why he doesn't know that I'm doing my second term.
My apologies.
And 2 more to go. And
it was 2 more times.
Though I was with him last evening when we were bidding farewell to some of our friends who were leaving the country on other assignments. So my brother Nyutu has only confirmed my very first statement when you gave me the first opportunity that Mount Kenya is still nursing what we call post-impeachment disorder. And he has clarified that by saying that the people who are agitated in that event are still questioning how Kindiki Githuri came into office. We impeached Rigathi Gachagua 8 months ago. To be precise, it was the 17th day of October 2024. He has been in office, Kindiki has been in office for quite some time now. He has settled into office. But they are still asking, how did this person get into office? And that has come from my brother Nyotu. So that disorder may be nursed for a longer period, and it is okay. You can understand where they're coming from. Of course, the court of law pronounced itself on the pre-impeachment processes. You remember when Parliament had advertised to carry out public participation on Rigathi's impeachment at the county level, the courts clarified that you cannot do it at that level. It has to go further down to sub-counties, sub-counties and constituency levels. And that is exactly what we did. We collected and collated data, which we synthesized as Parliament. And 75% of Kenyans said this grandmaster of exclusion in Kenya must go home. 25% said he should be retained. So how could we have ignored the views of 75% of Kenyans? The mere fact that the majority came from Central is not a good reason to have him retained into office with all the imperfections that he had demonstrated while in office at the time. So the process was basically above board. Nyanza province, where I come from, of course with a lot of historical injustices meted on us by successive regimes, we have always remained sober, we have remained fair, we have even voted for people outside Nyanza to the man, just because we were born as bastions of inclusion. And anything politics about exclusion, when you juxtapose the interest of Nyanza, we will not be there.
Yeah.
So Nyanza fights nobody. Nyanza has always been looking for its fair share in the national cake because they are equally taxpayers. But looks like other people have a very big problem when there is equity in distribution of national resources. And to them, equity now means that they have been excluded. Because probably they have been used to a system where the bigger part of that cake only goes to a particular direction. And I will not go into that today. That's a subject for another day. So Nyanza will always advocate for fairness. And that is why if anyone faces injustice anywhere, the very first people to either represent you for pro bono in a court of law or to shout at the top of their voices would be Nyanza citizens.
Yeah.
And we don't do it with any fear. We do it because we think that is the right thing to do. Because if an injustice is meted on in one corner, the next corner is yours. So we cannot allow injustice to be allowed to fester.
Okay.
I'm told here that some leaders hired other gentlemen to block Rigathi Gachagua into accessing an event somewhere. Well, there is no evidence that some people basically hired people to do so. So if we had some evidence, then I would have delved a little further into it.
Same way there's no evidence that the goons who chanted one time were also hired. You mentioned that they were hired. And maybe
I described the circumstances under which that view would feed. I said they were actually outside the perimeter, not inside. And they were clique. There were very few, just a paltry number who were shouting that. So I looked at evidential, you know, the law of evidence. Yeah, to feed into what I was talking about.
Okay.
We're talking about the numbers. Firstly, we as a community have always had Raila Odinga, the Prime Minister, to give us the political direction. 2027, he will give us the political direction. So saying that Luos will not be equal to Kikuyus, who probably Ruto is going to lose, and I don't know how, because Ruto was in Central Province just a month ago. And the rousing welcome he received was even much more than what we saw in Homa Bay. So I don't know where my brother Ruto is getting all this, that Mount Kenya may actually gravitate away from William Ruto, when just a month ago, we saw it.
Okay.
But at the right time, we will be given the right direction as to how to move the politics of this country.
So finally, no confirmation in 2027 that you will support President William Ruto?
Well, 2027 is too far away. Even if you ask President Ruto what is in his bag for 2027, he can't know now.
Okay.
So 2027 will come. The most important thing that President Ruto and Raila Odinga have chosen to do for this country is to unite everybody behind a common cause of building this nation. Because if it is stratified, we all suffer.
Okay. Dr. Duncan Ojwang, I want us to shift gears and talk about the IBC now. This conversation on the IBC, yes, you can touch on a bit of that, but then let's switch gears and talk about the IBC. Is the parliamentary vetting rigorous enough? I know you have a few points to raise, and then we get into this IBC conversation.
Yeah, maybe just preliminary, but myself, I think the fact that Kenyans are riverine, including their politicians, they are flexible and not fixed on ideologies, is a good thing. Because I look at how the US politicians are slaves to ideology. A Republican will never agree with a Democrat. They will vote on single issue like abortion or... So I find Kenya politicians and the fact that they are riverine and able to work with this side and that side better for this nation. Number two, I also find that the idea that we are always able to pull back after election and for the leaders to work together, this should not be castigated. This is a good thing because we are seeing countries where that is not happening, and we are seeing the challenges they have because they extend that politics to the battleground and to the with the military coup and all that.
Yeah.
So the fact that we are able to pull back, whether it is through handshake or through broad-based or through any other means, and try to work together. Generally, I think it's a model that have been admired by other places. Finally, I think at the center of this is the issue of the national cake, because you know, politics is about a national cake, and Mheshimiwa alluded to it, whether the youth in Mount Kenya are given 200 and development is going to Nyanza. I just want to urge him to do infrastructural audit and see how much infrastructure the national government has put in Nyeri vis-a-vis Homa Bay. And he will realize, to his bewilderment, that that share, to some extent, and the issue of equity and the issue of equality is a goal that is in the Constitution and has not been met. Yeah. That if you do infrastructural audit, look at the number of tarmac roads in Nyeri where there was booing, look at the water, look at the hospital, look at the bridges, look at the police, look at the dispensary, and look at the water, running water, and compare it to some of the regions that I come from, unfortunately, like Homa Bay. Then you can start to see who has been at the margin and who has been at the core. And because of that, you know, it's almost what Chinua Achebe was saying. When I hold her hand, she say, "Don't touch me." When I hold her leg, she say, "Don't touch me." But when I play with a waist bead in a way, she pretend not to be seeing. It's almost, you know, love is blind and lovers cannot see. I see a lot of love-hate between the former allies. Yeah. But what Chinua Achebe is saying is that this is the art of courtship. She holds the lady's hand. She's like, "Hey, usiniguze the leg." But when she is playing with the beads in the waist, she pretends not to be seen. So, at the center of broad-based government, have they done it perfectly? I don't think so. But at least the attempt to dent the historical problem that other regions are left behind, and to move Kenya together, and to address the issue of equality, and to bring everyone on table. I think at philosophical level, that is what the Constitution and consensus Constitution is supposed to do. And that is a good thing. And how others will feel excluded at the call of Kenyans. Are you not Kenyan? Okay. Why will others feel to be sidelined? Are you not part of the whole humanity and Kenya? And so I think that attempt is a good thing.
Now I want us to talk about the IBC, Joe, and you'll start us off on this one. Is the vetting in Parliament rigorous enough? You can see the web that has been drawn on the Standard here. They're saying the godfathers have it. MPs yesterday did what they have long been accused of doing, rubber stamping the executive decision.
Thank you, Trevor, and kindly allow me a minute or two.
We will never get out of this topic.
No, I'm getting out of it. Just to clarify some issues, please, Trevor. I want to correct Bokwaja. He said that we sang choruses for the finance bill last year. I think just to ask him that when he takes the count of who sang choruses for the finance bill last year, he should exempt me. He should actually count me out, because I was not amongst those that sang that chorus that was there. And I do not want to delve into the turnout, voter turnout in Nyanza, especially the Luo Nation. And of course, Dr. Mokwenja has explained it very well, that even when Ruto wants to, to think that he now has a replacement of the votes that he got from the mountain, that he should ask himself soberly whether the numbers there, if when their own man is on the ballot, the turnout is very poor, or how will it be if they support him? It's just, a sobering moment to think about that. And just to correct my friend Jared, and to ask him and every other Kenyan to allow Mount Kenya to be. They have a right like everybody else. When Jared says that Nyanza has always remained, sober, calm, I mean, we have been living here. We know what happened immediately the 2007 election results were announced and Kibaki pronounced winner. We know what happened in Kondele immediately. I mean, I can remember reporters who were there. I mean, and I'm not saying that people, what I'm saying is let people allow others to also express their dissatisfaction in any way. Nobody has ever been fought physically in Mount Kenya. So if Jared wants to compare the two regions, then he can know where most stones have ever been thrown. Then he can ask himself where the rails have ever been uprooted, and there is nothing like that. So just let Mount Kenya be. Let Mount Kenya be. Okay. Let it express its political dissatisfaction in the best way they know how. Okay. I mean, we are Kenyans also. So if others have ever expressed political dissatisfaction, allow Mount Kenya also to express political dissatisfaction, because they have a right. Yeah. I mean, we have no problem with the projects going to Nyanza. You have not had anybody complain about that. I mean, all we are saying is, let us be respected as we respect others. And you know, Jared is better advised to analyze politics, especially politics on the ground, in Nyanza, where he comes from. Let Mondo tell people here that Ruto was received by mammoth crowds when he visited Mount Kenya last month, because I have been here and I've explained. There was a prize for every attendee. And there was a prize for attendance, for clapping, for smiling, and people were paid. And so we know how to earn. So that is not political support. So Jared should just get to know about our economic activities. And that was a good economic activity. So that is not a political support. And please, just to correct Dr. Juang here. Even as we talk about affirmative action, and they say that Nyanza has been marginalized for many years historically, maybe yes, but Nyanza is not the most marginalized area in Kenya.
That's true.
We would want to see even more going to northeastern and to some other regions also in eastern and that kind of thing. And also western. You had Sifuna raise an issue. Every time these so-called experts, ministers, go to Luo Nyanza, they talk about, the programs, the projects and all of you. And Sifuna was asking, what is there for us in western? So we need something balanced. And we have no problem. Now, IEBC. One thing, Trevor, is that...
But his time is over.
Trevor, the most sad moments that we have ever encountered in this country is, after elections, especially where people have a feeling that the election was not, managed in a fair and transparent way. And so the issue of IEBC commissioners is a very important aspect of the upcoming elections, if you ask me, and perception of people. I have no problem with these particular commissioners, that, including the chairman, that the president has picked, of course, after they were recommended by the IEBC selection panel. But then there are issues that were raised about each of them. The chair at the con was the county attorney in Turkana, when Nanok, who is the deputy chief of staff in State House, was governor. I mean, there have been issues with the Commissioner Sorobit that he has been working with UDA. There is an issue with Noor, who is said to be an in-law of Junet Mohammed, who has pronounced himself broadly where he belongs. I mean, there are those issues. I mean, Lutalala is linked to Mudavadi, who is the prime cabinet secretary. I mean, I am not here to say that these commissioners will not and cannot deliver a credible election. But perception is very important. And that is why Parliament, why National Assembly, which your question was, should have carried out a very rigorous vetting and should have asked these very hard questions, and if possible, call those that are laying these claims or these accusations to come and shed more light. I mean, it has been the National Assembly And because Jared is a member of that particular house, it has actually let Kenyans down, not just in the, in the vetting of IBC commissioners, but also in vetting of even CSs.
Yeah.
And you know that we have had issues with even the president sometimes saying that CSs that who have served in his cabinet are incompetent. It is in public domain.
Yeah.
So then the question has been, and that is what the National Assembly should have addressed, the question has been, if the appointing authority thinks that somebody was incompetent, why did they appoint them in the first place?
Okay.
And if they appointed them for other reasons, the National Assembly, which is a representative of the people, why did it not see through the incompetence of these particular, appointees?
Okay.
And so there are questions, and genuine questions that Kenyans are asking on whether this vetting by the National Assembly is just a formality, or it achieves the objective that it was designed for by the constitutional by the drafters of the Constitution.
All right.
So it's a challenge to the National Assembly. Let them do a rigorous, a thorough vetting, and let them not take instructions from State House.
Okay. Let me bring in some of the soundbite from Junet Mohammed and also